right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Or wait, it's welcome back for me. All right. Hope you guys are doing well. Of course, back in the snow seems to line up perfectly with SnowTALK. A bit of a delay there. I know everyone was like, "Where are you at? Where'd you disappear to?" Well, I was trying to enjoy vacation, but when you're a weather nut, it's really hard to fully escape it, and that's the thing. It certainly does follow you around. All right, I am wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to SnowTALK. This is our where we do normally a daily blog on our chances for snow and the outlook over the next couple of weeks, sometimes longer if the data allows. But it's been on hiatus just for a moment, just because of the holidays. But we're back. Carson and Kevin and Tawana and Ryan have been doing great and keeping you guys updated on the system as it rolls on through. So you guys have been wondering, like, why have you chimed in on your snow loving mindset on this? Well, I'm like, they have said everything that I felt like I would say. So I felt like there's not much else to add to that. So I think the storm is here. We got some numbers to share. We are now at phase 2 of this winter storm, and we'll talk about what the rest of phase 2 will entail, as well as what will happen at phase 3. All right, let's start with the snowboard. It's been a while since we've had a chance to check this out. We left on the 20th of December with the potential, anyway, for snowfall in early January. This is the system that we were tracking then in December. So it's here now, ongoing through tomorrow. We get into Friday and Saturday. It's a southern system. Now, there's still some questions on how far north it will track. They do tend to take a more south track from a previous winter storm. They dig a little more, but it would be all snow or nothing in that scenario. So keep that in mind. And another snow system is showing up as we head into about mid-January that also could be featuring some accumulations. All right, here's the snow total for Louisville. Look at that. 9 inches of snow for Louisville. It is a record for the 5th day of January. I'm not exactly sure how long it has been since we've had to this level. Actually, I do. I want to say it was March of 2018 that we had the spring snow, and I think that was 11 inches that day. But that was a heavy, wet snow that fell in like 3 hours. It was crazy, wild event. Remember that because I remember the snow was sticking in my eyebrows and eyelashes. But anyway, so 9 inches of snow today. Now, you may not have that outside if you were to measure it now, because there has been some compacting, even a bit of melting, because as you'll see, temperatures are at the freezing mark. But no doubt, one of our bigger storms we've had in a while. That's our season total, 9.8. Normally for the entire season, 13.4. And as you saw, we still have more chances. So it looks like we're going to be above normal on snowfall this year. I don't want to jinx it too much. Here are some of the reports we're getting. Let me take this full screen so you guys can see this. You're able to see, well, I'm not able to see anything because you're looking at me. Here are some of the totals we're getting. Again, forget that 7.7. We're now at 9.0 for Louisville. But several, and we're one of the higher locations too, that 9 inches. Here, not far from New Albany, around 9 inches. The Louisville Metro in general, I would say 6 to 9 was fairly common. I haven't had any 10-inch reports yet. But several half-a-foot bands of snow that came through. That warm front snow band this morning, the data really started to scream at it yesterday during the day, but last night it really ramped up on that potential. And boy, when it did, it really fed some of these higher snow totals. Again, they got up there. All right, here's a look into Indiana right now. The camera's shaking a bit. You see the snow there at Huber's Orchard and Winery. Well, it's shaking because the wind is something we got to watch. All right, so we've got temperatures now close to the freezing mark near the Ohio River and Point South. Fully expected this. This was on track. Yes, you're still going to get some ice accretion in some areas, but this does help on road treatment in a big way, especially the main roads. Indiana, though, lower 20s. It's a lot tougher for the road crews to battle that, and it's more of a snow-sleet combination. The wind is what we're going to be watching for tonight because now we're going to be entering more and more of this second phase. It is a ice, snow setup. The second phase is the ice. We've had mainly a lot of sleet. If you've been outside today, you've felt that sleet just hitting you in the face, right? Now it's going to go into more of a freezing drizzle, creating more of that glaze. Once that glaze develops and we start to introduce some of these stronger wind gusts, that is when I think we're going to run into more and more of the power issues. Wind chills coming into the teens in many spots. Get used to that. It will be that way for a while. Forecast wind gusts go up tonight. As the low moves by, that's when some of the strongest winds will be. So there's a chance you may lose power in the middle of the night or about early tomorrow. So charge your devices up tonight, just like we say in severe thunderstorm season. Same thing here. Charge everything up and maybe set your alarm to get up a little earlier than normal if you have to venture out tomorrow. And we'll go out many spots. You don't have to worry about that, which is always a nice thing, right? Let me show you what it looks like on the radar side of things, and we'll be able to show you. There we go. Oh, power outages. I want to show you that real fast, and we'll get to the radar as well. Power outages starting to go up. We're getting in some of that light glaze in central Kentucky. It's not affecting a lot of people yet, but hey, just one person's a problem, right? But 391 customers, even in Nelson County, without power. Got a feeling that is going to go up as we get closer. All right, here is the mess. We've got the potpourri, if you will, of the bands of snow and sleet in Indiana, sleet and freeze and rain, freeze and drizzle in central Kentucky, and in some cases just plain rain in far southern areas of Kentucky itself. We're monitoring several areas today, especially up to the north as you get into about, say, Seymour, Indiana, where they've been mainly snow the majority of the time up there into Indiana. And we wanted to torture, I guess, Kirsten Foote, our own reporter, Kirsten Foote, up there to Indiana to get a handle on what it has been like up there in Seymour. All right, Kirsten, you've been up there all day. How has the day evolved for you since you arrived earlier on and what it's like now?
Yeah, hey, Brian. Well, welcome to Seymour, Indiana. Really, what you said earlier about that sleet, kind of snow sleet, talking about the day evolving, today has been pretty much all snow. I mean, stuff has been coming down all day, but it's been really light, fluffy snow. And just now, when we came out here about 10, 15 minutes ago, it's really changed over to that kind of sleet snow. So it's kind of hitting my face a little bit. I don't know if you could hear it too, if you could hear some of that rain.
Oh, yeah, we hear it popping, yeah.
That rain, sleet stuff. Yeah, it's popping. And my coat jacket here, things are kind of, it was just kind of snow accumulating on it earlier. Now you can kind of see some of those rain droplets. So it's really changed over in the last 20 minutes or so because it was very light, fluffy snow earlier. And now it's whatever this is.
What the wind? I noticed you've been kind of bracing. I'm sorry it took so long to get to you, but the wind was, really howling there. What do you think the wind, has the wind really ramped up?
I've noticed the wind ramped up too, and it's really, it's kind of been steady all day. Just kind of the whole day, the snow has been just kind of coming out of slant. It hasn't really been falling nice and top, from the top down, if you will. It's really been on a slant. But again, over these last couple of minutes here, I've really noticed that wind pick up too. So, we've noticed a little bit, driving here too, kind of that, snow, kind of that ice kind of building up on the car there, some of that wind there too. So the conditions are definitely changing here. We've noticed a lot. Just the last couple of minutes here, if you will.
All right. Yeah. One other question I want to ask, and I'll let you try to get some warmth. Right in behind you, I think, is a McDonald's.
Yeah.
They're planning that McDonald's there. Is it even open? Are people going out and venturing out tonight?
People are going out. We even stopped at the McDonald's earlier. I got some hot chocolate earlier, just kind of to warm me up a little bit, Taco Bell was open. I talked to some Taco Bell workers, and they closed. They closed early today. There's also a gas station here. A lot of plows are out on the road, and you do see some cars too. So there's quite a few people venturing out. But before we go, I will show you right over here too. We're at a BP gas station, and there's also a place for semi trucks to come and talk to some truckers, and they're kind of stopping here. They're trying to either get to Indianapolis, They couldn't make it that tonight. And then this guy here, this semi truck with his lights off, he has been stuck here for about an hour or so. So it's causing some headaches. This has kind of been a treacherous hill for semi trucks throughout the day. Kind of been monitoring it. This is maybe the second or third truck we've seen get stuck trying to turn off from this main road here and into the gas station here. So I don't know what the rest of this night's going to look like for that, but definitely kind of getting a little bit more messy than what it's been like all day. It's been pretty messy all day, but just kind of as stuff has just continued to come down and build up, the crews are trying to work overtime to keep up with all that. And we appreciate them. And we appreciate you, Wave reporter Kirsten Foote, live in Seymour, Indiana. I know it's been tough when you get these assignments right, but it looks like you have a chance to stay warm, so I'll let you get some warmth for a while there. We appreciate your live reports. And if anything develops, Sarah, be sure to give us a shout out, okay? Will do. My Nebraska roots are helping me right now. It's really helpful to be from Nebraska at this moment.
I bet it does. I bet it does. She's
Thanks,
like, oh,
Brian.
this is nothing whatsoever. All right. That again, our own Kirsten Foote, who helps anchor on our weekend sunrise shows. That's been a busy weekend for everybody here. All right. So let's get right back into the radar, where we're going from here for this evening. All right. Kirsten was right there again in Seymour, where it sounds like that mixture of sleet and snow. But here's the thing. You look at this radar, and the radar is trying to interpret, okay, well, this area has likely got all snow. Some areas have got all sleet. Some have got freezing rain, and some just plain rain. Temperatures, I showed you that, and I'm going to show you again here in just a second, are close to freezing in Kentucky. Now, you could still get ice that will have accretion itself on trees, even if you're right at 31, 32, especially if you've been below freezing all day. You know, that bump up, really to see improvement, you would need to go to about 34 to see improvement on that. But this is also where things get a little tricky, because we've got this freezing rain scenario that's taking shape, but it's going to lighten to freezing drizzle as we head into the overnight. That's when I think the icing on trees and power lines, those reports are going to go up and up, and it's already starting. As you saw there in central Kentucky, I think that will keep going up, especially in the wind ramps up. And you guys know, if you've lived near any wooded area, when you get into an ice scenario and they get way down and you get that gusty wind, especially in the middle of the night, the sound that those trees have when they begin to crackle and break off, it's terrifying. So I totally understand that. So hopefully, though, everything's going to be okay for overnight, but just stay safe and keep everything charged up. But this is a very complex way, but the most common way I think you guys see for rain versus snow versus sleet. Let me try to simplify it down just a bit more. And this is what we also use to look for debris that gets picked up by tornadoes when they come through the area. This is one of the modes of the radar we look at. And in the wintertime, it's also beneficial to us because basically what this is doing, and it works the same way as I mentioned for tornado debris, it basically is looking for something that just isn't right. It's not the same shape as everything else that's falling from the sky. It knows, radars are getting smart, it knows that everything is the shape of a raindrop, so that must be rain. It can tell that there's ice pellets, so it, you know, maybe it senses an ice pellet or a raindrop or a snowflake. It doesn't know what to do with that. And then you get back into where it's all snowflakes. Well, it paints it the same color. So when you see solid red, that is the radar saying whatever's falling is the same type. Now, I'm gathering based on what I've seen outside, a lot of that is freezing rain that we're seeing in the areas what we're seeing across Louisville, and that's why we were painted with red. But notice that area of orange that is showing up across areas around Frankfort, Carrollton, near where Kirsten was as well into Jackson County. That tells us in the radar that there are different shapes falling here, which is likely where the sleet line has made it up to, roughly in that area. So if you are in that area of around Seymour, Brownstown, Indiana, heading toward Bedford, Indiana, you likely have sleet falling out. Let me know if you have something different. But that is basically the radar, another way the radar helps us out in knowing, because again, those colors are nice, you know, when you look at them, but it's confusing, right? So they're great when they eventually line up with the right type, but this is a weird transition period. So it's just much easier for us to look at this and know that just about everyone's got a freezing drizzle, freezing rain scenario in Louisville, and you got more of the sleet. And then north of that is snow, which is barely any snow now left in the area, very northeast sections, and that's it. Some of the ground truth. Well, let's look at that. MPing, which is a popular site and app that people use on especially Radar Scope to send in the reports based on your GPS location. And notice some of these reports are a bit old in the past 4 hours. So 4 hours ago, you likely did have snow in parts of Louisville, but a lot of them that are on here are more the purple, indicating more of the sleet and freezing rain side of things. So what we're going to do is watch the temperature trends carefully as we head throughout the night, because the first round of snow has been put down. That's phase one. This is going back the past 12 hours. Again, 8 to 9 inches of snow in the metro has taken place. Now we're into the warmest part of the system is happening right now. The warm air flying overhead is maxing out between now and about 4 to 5 a.m. But the ground itself, if you look in that little bar right here, in the top of the banner, look under, let's see, where the clock is moving. And we have the current wind stats at Ollie International always listed there. We have an east wind. That is a cold wind for the area, which means that temperature of 31 that we have currently at the airport it will really struggle to move at all, even though the warm air above it is flying out of the south. That east wind right at the ground level is enough to keep that number at or below freezing, which is why we are running into a freeze and rain scenario. And that will be the trend as we continue on through the night. Right now, as it stays a little bit more of a moderate freeze and rain, as we've been mentioning, it runs off the tree branches and the power lines, but it will encase your car. It will make the deck very slick. Your porch, your driveway, very slick. Once we get into the overnight and we get into a little more of the freezing drizzle scenario of this, that's when it will then stick to the power lines in the tree branches and the cars and the porches. But majority ice accretion is going to happen during the overnight, it looks like. All right, you can see 32 degrees in several spots. Some of you may be a touch above that. You may not notice any ice outside your window. It really does. This is a very sensitive winter storm, all right? It depends on your elevation, whether you're in a valley, if you're close to the city, not close to the city, all those factors all come into play. But you know, if you have a light outside, I always call it my snow light. It used to be the garage light, something I can look at to see the flakes flying in front of the lens or in front of the light itself to know if the heavy snow is falling. You can do the same thing in this case here with any type of glaze. Look at the area of trees. They don't have leaves on anymore. So if you look at the trees near a light, if you see them glistening, you should be able to see that ice is indeed having its ice accretion there on the trees. Okay, so let me show you some of the traffic cameras. This is what it looks like in Kentucky. Let's see, let's pull up a few. This is I-65 near E-Town. Not bad. I love the icicles on I-65 of the Western Kentucky Parkway. But most interstates are fine. You know, when I came in, I was driving from the sleet to the snow to sleet transition. The max speed that I could reach was 22 miles per hour. And just about everyone on the road was doing that. It's an interstate. That was good. I was glad to see that because it was, you know, slick. Don't get me wrong. But it was one of those, if you just didn't make the wrong move, you paid attention to everyone and took it slow and just kept planning ahead as you go along, you're fine. You will get there. But it's people that are in a hurry or pass you when there hasn't been much traffic in the other lane in the snow and sleet yet, and then they therefore lose control. Then you put your risk of spinning and hitting other people. So try to just don't head anywhere in a hurry is what I'm trying to say. This is not the night for that, and really next several days, it's not the time period for that. So just pay attention to each other, and I think you'll be okay. Indiana roads do not look as nice. Of course, you guys are dealing with sleet and snow while we've had a little bit of a break. Temperatures 31, 32. Well, salt works good at that level, so they're salting like crazy in Louisville and in central Kentucky, and it's working on the main roads. You get into Indiana, okay, you're in the lower 20s in many spots, and you still have sleet and snow falling, so it's a little bit more of a trial and error for Indiana to get the roads done compared to what Kentucky seems to be able to do so far. But the traffic map speaks for itself. It's a pretty map, but there's a lot of yellow and orange for a good reason. Doesn't mean that everyone is stopped here and traffic is moving. Doesn't mean that at all. It just means that the few cars that are on the road, when they pass the sensor, they were going slow. So it looks like a traffic jam everywhere in the city. But in reality, what it's saying is the traffic is just running very slow. We did see reports not long ago of, I believe it was the ramp from the Snyder southbound 264. I don't know if it was east or west, but it was shut down due to a semi. Unfortunately, can't see it because the camera is iced over. Okay, let me get back to a couple of maps before I show you these others. Okay, let me show you Futurecast first off and walk you through what is going to happen next here. Hold on. Ain't tight. There we go. That's what I wanted. There's a lot of you on here, so everyone say hi to each other. Everyone's friends here. You're all part of the Bots Bring on the Snow family. Everyone shake hands, say hello. Everyone's being nice. Help each other out if there's a question I don't get to, because you guys do fly by fast here on chat, so I don't always get a chance to catch your question in time. You guys always yell at me for that. Okay, here we go, Futurecast. This is hour by hour showing the steadier freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Again, we're going to be going to a more drizzly scenario as we head into the overnight hours, but we're combining that with those stronger wind gusts. So it's really a false sense of security of everything easing back on the radar, but conditions actually will be getting worse, and the wind will add a new weather element to the picture that we haven't seen much of yet. We get into Monday morning. Now we're on the backside, what we call the deformation zone of the low. Snow ratios are a little higher. This is the true Arctic air coming from the polar vortex, now plowing into the city. So it is charging into the area on Monday morning. It's like, okay, any moisture here, it is going to snow. There's no debate. So as it pushes in, everything just coats over to snow. And some of these snow bands are going to be moderate, maybe even heavy. But again, ratios would be, I would say, about 12 to 13 or so, maybe 14 to 1 snow ratio. So you can get a nice little coating of this on the backside, especially since it is slow moving as it moves on by. So how much snow are we looking at out of this system as it moves on by? All right, we've already had the 9 inches of snow. A lot of you have been in that 5 to 8 range overall. All right, this is what we're looking at for additional snowfall. This is additional snowfall for the rest of the system. A lot of this is not happening tonight. A lot of this is happening tomorrow with the backside of the low pressure. There will be some banding features that'll be a little more concentrated near the 64 corridor. So didn't mean to cover up the number there, but that's where there could be maybe a 2.5 or a 3.1 additional amount. It's hard to plot that with these kind of ranges, but that's the zone to watch. But even central Kentucky, areas that are getting rain now, for you, really, you had snow this morning, but you're going to get another coating of snow, maybe an inch or two, when that passes on by tomorrow, midday into the afternoon. It's going to be a snowy Monday, really pretty outside. But this time we're going to be down into the deep cold, and it's going to be really hard for the roads to improve after that. Getting close to 32 like we are right now gives us a little bit of an edge on roads, but you get into the deep freeze and down into the single digits, then we're running into problems. What about ice accretion? Well, that always takes some time, because to measure ice accretion, you can't just take the liquid and say, this is how much liquid fell, and you do the math, convert it over, that has to be how much ice you got. It's not quite that simple. Ice accretion, the easiest way I can explain it is that, say this is the tree branch you have in your yard. If you're able to use a ruler up against the tree branch, it could be a rose bush even, but try to find a nice tree branch. There's no leaves on it, of course. Just look at the end branch and just measure on the ruler just one side of where the ice has accumulated on the wood part of the branch. Just one side where the ice is. The thickness of that, usually it's intense, that is your ice accretion level. So if you're curious how to know how much ice accretion you have, that is how you do it. You don't look at it by just seeing the drips and icicles hanging from your house. You have to measure it that way. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of that until a little bit later. We're seeing some now in central Kentucky, but I think that's going to expand once we get into the lighter rates of freezing drizzle. I did take us down a bit on the amounts. I still think the half inch is probably going to be in the higher end, because we've had a lot of sleet today, a lot. And I think a lot of the sleet took out quite a bit of the freezing rain and icing. So I'm hoping we can drop this down another category even later, but not quite ready to do that yet. Okay, is everyone good? Anyone, any questions? I can try to sort of answer. Christian, we'll actually see plain rain. It's unlikely, especially with that east wind that we have, Christian. So the fact that we're holding on to that east wind, we went to 32, we went back down to 31. So we're just not able to get above that. So I don't think we're going to have a huge amount of issues until it gets lighter. I haven't been outside here in the past few moments, but if it's a lighter amount, that will allow for a little bit more of an issue of ice accretion. That's when the numbers will go up. Let's see. It's a bit more of a dry snow than I think what the data indicated. So we got a little bit, that's the reason why we got 9 inches of snow, really, is that the moisture content, snow ratios, we got cold last night. The ratios were a little bit off. So it was a little more of a dry snow. So if you've been struggling trying to make a snowman today or a snowball, that's the reason why. But this, no doubt, this freezing rain falling on it will make a nice little crust or a shell, kind of like a creme brulee. It's kind of nice. Okay, everyone seems all right. I'm not going to be able to get the specifics on individual counties, but I think you all get that idea, all right, on how the icing and stuff is going to be an issue overnight. Not as much of the snow issue overnight as the icing will be. That's our main concern. Once we get into tomorrow, it's all about the snow, and we track that. We're looking at just an additional 1 to 3, 1 to 2 on the snow side, and then we're done. So yeah, technically Louisville, if we get 3 inches with tomorrow's snow, we would end up with a foot of snow out of this winter storm, which It won't really seem like it probably because it's compacting down so much, and then freezing rain weighs it down, and so is the sleet. So it's been an odd one, but fine with me. As long as everybody can get out and travel and we can cut down on power outages, I will be happy. Okay, let me show you what's next. Yes, we have the cold air. I'll show you that in a 10-day. As soon as the skies clear out, we get all this snow-covered ground with clear skies. Get ready. The thermometer is going to drop, and we may have alert days for that for the dangerous cold coming up soon. Looking ahead to our next system, this is a southern wave coming out of Texas. And this one is going to get a lot of the big cities down south really excited, Nashville, Atlanta, St. Louis. But for us, there is a bit of a separation. There's an upper wave that is passing through the Midwest and the Great Lakes. And we got our southern low, which is off the map, tracking from Texas into basically Savannah. Will they shake hands? If they do, this could be a much bigger system a little bit further north than what is indicated. If they stay separate and weak, we may have a clipper go through the Great Lakes with some light snow, may hit us, some snow showers, and then a bigger snow across areas of the deep south, and we could get gapped in the middle and miss it. May fill in with just flurries or something. So we don't know yet if we're going to see these two phase, but I tell you, it's a good pattern to see that happen because so far the timing is looking better and better, and the Euro is not giving up. Now, I do not see this right now being as big as the other one because it doesn't seem to have as much moisture as the one now has. Its duration is short. It's moving faster across the deep south. So it has a couple of things that are a little different than the one we're dealing with now. But I do think it's an all snow or nothing deal. And yes, it could trigger more advisories. We've got an alert day already for it just because we're going to be certainly cold for all of it to stick. Could be a big snow for the big cities. Accumulation generically is painting light amounts. If you were to hold me to a number, I know you won't tell nobody. You won't tell nobody if I tell you a number. I know you guys. It's looking like a 2 to 4. 1 to 2, 2 to 4 kind of deal. But I didn't say that. I don't know where you're getting that. Okay, so let's look at the matrix. This is what, for those of you who've been on the blog a lot, you know I love looking at this as a good sign of confidence on these snow events. When you look at the current storm, well, we're all filled in. So, all right, slam dunk. And we've got, instead of all gray, it's blues and pinks showing up. So, wow, it's a big winter storm. All right, so then we get into the setup for Friday and Saturday. All right, they're filling in more and more, mainly grays, indicating light snow, a couple of blues, indicating maybe up to 2.5 or so that could fall. But it stays noisy. I mean, this is probably a clipper. This could be another southern wave, but it gets us all the way through at least the third week, the way it's looking now of January. The GFS on this Friday wave, and watching the trends is the best way to track these systems to see agreement. And you can see several different versions of the GFS. It doesn't know, where on placement and speed or where to put this wave here on Friday and on phasing, but there's no doubt. I mean, these are ensembles. They're all, trending to the idea that a winter event is building for the Ohio River Valley, which is pretty exciting. Maybe you guys are already over it. All right, it's getting to your 10-day. Earliest alert. You can see how we're just going to stay cold and frozen again tomorrow with the periods of snow in the area. And I'm taking this down to 0. What's that?
You want to come up in less than 1 minute?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay. All right. Hold on, guys, just for 1 second. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick TV update for those that are watching at home. And so you're going to hear me pause for a minute and then talk to everyone at home to do a quick update during Sunday Night Football, and then I will come back. Hello, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. All right, we got just a brief moment here during Sunday Night Football with a quick update on the trends with this winter storm rolling through the area. Winter storm warning continues. It's mainly freezing rain that we're talking about that has been moving across wave country for the past 2 to 3 hours. So far in Louisville, by the way, we have picked up 9 inches of snow in Louisville. It's a record snowfall for the date today. And now we've got mainly freezing rain and sleet that we're looking at across central Kentucky. Mainly rain across southern parts of the state, but that trend is there for Still some icing overnight tonight as the freezing drizzle becomes a little more easier to have ice accretion on tree limbs. 1/4 to 1/2 inch ice, that is possible. And as far as additional snowfall, I'm thinking right now additional snowfall, and much of this will be tomorrow, will be about 1 to 2 inches. We'll have more tonight on the late news. Okay, thank you all. Sorry about that. Sometimes we have to be in 2 places at once. All right, so speaking of that, by the way, football is on tonight, so we will be back on later on tonight after the game is over. Don G's here with me. We're having an overnight party, so we will be with you guys coming up for the late news after the game. So make sure to stay up late if you want to know the latest, because I'm going to go through the models here this evening and see if we see maybe an uptick in the snow tomorrow. Hey, that's possible. That happened last night. And then we'll see whether or not we get a little more data on the Friday system if we have time. All right, you guys are awesome. I miss you all. I hope you are doing well. Stay safe. And again, I will be here all night long. Tawana's going to be joining me as well. And if anything urgent develops, well, we're going to be right here. And look for the push notification on the app. But just get those devices charged up as that wind will ramp up tonight. All right, I'll stop rambling. You guys try to enjoy the snow. Be safe. I'll see you coming up on the flip side.